Hey guys, it's Tana and welcome to my very first video for Not Too Shabby. If you guys haven't been over to Jamie's Not2Shabby Shop, you should definitely go check it out. Be sure to use the code N2S10 for 10% off your order. There'll be a link below to the shop, and also I'll have the coupon code down below for you with any conditions or exclusions. So let's get started. Today I'm going to be using the You're My Person stamp by MFT. And I thought these two little girls were so adorable. Now, I did stamp two of them out, and I stamped it out with My Favorite Things Extreme Black Hybrid ink. But I think I'm a heavy Copic colorer because I did color them out once. I colored the entire thing, and my black ink was smearing. And I even heat set it. So I used a different ink. I think I used Altenew Crisp Black ink. And then I didn't seem to have as much of a problem. But like I said, I'm a heavy Copic colorer. I lay down a lot of ink when I color. So if you do not want to see the coloring, you can skip ahead as I just put up there. I just wanted to say before I put on a little music for the coloring that I'm so happy to be a part of the design team for Not Too Shabby for 2020. I was very excited when I found out. And you guys should definitely go check out all the other people on the team. I have a picture. I'll remember to put the picture up at the end of all the faces of the design team for this year. You may know some of them. You may not know some of them. But you should definitely go check them all out. Jamie has a video on her channel that shows, and I'm pretty sure links to everybody's channels. So if not, I can definitely find all the channels and gather them into my next video for you guys and have some links below. But we're going to put some music on now, if I can speak. And when we get past this coloring, I will be back. Okay, so that was it. Not too bad lengthwise for the coloring. So now we're going to use some Storm Cloud, Lunar Rocket, Violet Brocade. I can't remember the name of that one. It'll be down below. And Blue Blitz shimmer powders to make a night sky background. You can use any watercolor paper you want. They will all work. I'm using the Arches that I just bought to try last month. The 140-pound cold press watercolor cardstock, and I probably should have went lighter on the Storm Cloud. This panel ended up to be a little bit darker than I intended. I did try to go back and try to lighten it up with some more blue and purple, but I probably should have added a little bit more water because my storm cloud stayed concentrated. So even spreading it around, you just didn't see enough of the blue and violet, but I still like the way it turned out. It was a little bit darker, but hey, it still works. Still looks pretty. I love the shimmer you get when the powder's all dry mixed with the water on the panel. It's very shimmery. I mean, anywhere you look, there's shimmer. And we're also going to use that to add something else when we're done. So I heat set that. I got it as dry as I could. And now we're going to take the, what's this called? Card-sized star confetti stencils by My Favorite Things, which are also available in Jamie's shop. And we're going to use some Deco foil transfer gel. And this is just the regular transfer gel. And I'm going to use a spatula to put that on, a Nouveau spatula. And I didn't put too much on, and then I smoothed as much of it off as I could. I like to save as much of my product as possible. And then I very carefully took the tape off and peeled the stencil up and set it aside to dry. So while we're waiting for that to dry, and they're just some stars, so it doesn't take too long. I think it took about an hour. We're going to use some mowed lawn, distress oxide, and some forest moss. And we're just going to use, this is a Bristol smooth panel I had left over from something else, but it was wide enough and long enough to use for my purpose. So first I went over with the mowed lawn, and at first I was playing with the idea of just using the forest moss along the edges, but I decided to just lightly go over the entire panel with the forest moss so it was darker, but not too dark. And then I'm going to take the Grassy Hills Dynamics by MFT. I bought these while I was in Florida last month, and we're going to cut out two different panels. One that's more straight, it's got a little bit of a curve to it, and then one hill. And I did one on one side, one on the other, so that I can cut that down the center at the width I want it. I want the hill to be in the background and the flatter grass to be in the front, the foreground, so I cut the hill to be wider so it'll stick up behind the girls. Now we're going to peel the tape off of the rest of that panel. Now that it's dry, pull out the laminator, turn it on and get it ready. As you can see, that green light's on. Now I traced around my silver foil to make sure it was wide enough for my panel, and then place them both between parchment paper. You want the foil to be shiny side up on top of your panel, and then you want to place that parchment paper with everything inside of it straight through your laminator. Give it a second to cool, and then peel up your foil, and then there you have it. Now don't get rid of that piece of foil, we're going to use that. So there it is, and I did briefly toy with the idea also, I have to tell you this, of using pearl foil paper, but I decided to go with the silver. Now I have 3 layers of the Smile Dynamics. This is also MFT. I received this as my free with 60 purchase while I was at the store last month. I'm pretty sure this is available to everybody as of this coming month when their new release comes out. That's usually how it works. So I know this Smile can coordinate with their new Smile stamp set, the sentiment stamp set. So I glued all 3 layers together, and then I put some 2-way glue pen on the tops of the letters. And then I used that leftover foil when the glue was dry, the 2-way glue, to just use my bone folder and rub some of that silver foil onto the top of the letters. But I did it in such a way where you would see star imprints where the stars were missing from the foiled stars, so that the letters look like they also have stars on them, but they look like they have, it's a negative side, so they look like they have black stars instead of silver stars. And you will see a close-up of that. So now we have some steel gray cardstock by MFT. Yes, I guess there's an MFT theme going tonight, isn't there? And I'm using some art glitter glue to glue my watercolor panel straight down to the cardstock. And I use my hands, but I also use this very heavy, old-fashioned iron that my friend bought me for that purpose. And I use that to keep my panel flat while it dried. Now we're putting some double-sided tape on the hill that we ink blended, and I'm going to put that a little bit up from the bottom of that panel. And then we're going to put some foam tape on the front panel of grass. We want that to stick up and have a little bit of dimension. And this foam tape isn't quite as thick as regular foam tape. It's a little bit thinner. And the reason I use that is because we're also going to have the word smile on that layer of hail. So that has dimension to it also. See, you can see the stars on the word smile. And now I'm going to evenly space those out and glue them down with some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. I like Nuvo Deluxe adhesive when I'm trying to wait for something, when I don't want to wait for something to dry. It's a fairly quick drying glue and it dries clear. So if you make a little bit of a mess, nobody's going to see it. Although try not to make a mess on your ink blended panel because it's wet, so it will leave a splotch. So after I straightened those out and got them fairly even, I glued those straight down to that front grassy hill. And then we're going to put some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive on the back of both girls, and we're going to stick them between the two grassy hills. And I would have liked them down a little bit farther, but I forgot and put the foam tape there. So they weren't going down any farther than they already were. On the inside, we're going to use a sentiment from this little stamp set, You're My Person. And then I'm going to use some stars that I had just laying on my desk and put some in the top right and the bottom left corner. And I'm going to color them in with blue and silver gel pens. And this I'm going to heat set that really quick so those aren't wet when I'm taping that panel down. And then I'm just going to use a tape runner on the back of that and place that inside of the card. So that is it for my very first card, you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to check out Jamie's shop and use your discount code for 10% off. And we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now, guys.